The human brain is constantly trying to simplify the world. Every second, your senses collect an overwhelming amount of information. Sounds, colors, movements, conversations, memories, emotions. If your mind tried to process every detail with equal attention, you would quickly become mentally exhausted. So the brain does something remarkable: compresses reality. Instead of storing every detail, it creates patterns. Instead of analyzing every possibility, it builds shortcuts. Instead of remembering every individual event, it groups experiences into simplified categories. This ability allows you to move through life efficiently. You recognize faces instantly. You understand language without analyzing each word. You navigate environments without consciously calculating every step. But the same mechanism that helps you function also introduces a powerful distortion. The brain strongly prefers simple explanations. When faced with complex events, it instinctively searches for the clearest and most direct story possible. The fewer variables involved, the easier it is for the mind to process and remember. Psychologists sometimes describe this tendency through a principle often summarized as, the simplest explanation usually feels the most convincing. But feeling convincing is not the same as being accurate. Real-world systems, economies, ecosystems, relationships, political systems, even human behavior are rarely simple. They involve layers of interacting causes, feedback loops, and unpredictable variables. Yet the brain resists complexity. Imagine a situation at work. Project fails. Many factors may have contributed: unclear communication, tight deadlines, shifting priorities, resource limitations, and coordination issues between teams. But what explanation often emerges? Someone messed up. A single cause replaces a web of influences. The simplified story spreads quickly because it is easy to remember and easy to repeat. Complexity, on the other hand, requires patience and attention. It demands holding multiple possibilities in the mind at once. The brain prefers the story with fewer moving parts. This bias appears everywhere. In news headlines, complicated global events are often reduced to simple narratives involving heroes and villains. In personal relationships, misunderstandings are often attributed to one person's personality rather than a chain of circumstances. In politics, enormous social problems are sometimes presented as if they could be solved with a single policy. Simplicity travels faster than nuance. Part of the reason is cognitive economy. The brain is constantly balancing accuracy with efficiency. Processing complex models requires energy, attention, and time. Simplified explanations reduce that cost dramatically. But there is another reason simplicity feels appealing. Simple stories create emotional clarity. When a problem has one obvious cause, the mind knows where to direct its reaction: blame, praise, anger, admiration. Complexity diffuses that emotional focus. When many factors are involved, responsibility becomes harder to assign, and humans naturally gravitate toward clear emotional targets. There is also a deeper cognitive mechanism involved: pattern recognition. Your brain evolved to detect patterns in the environment. Recognizing patterns quickly could mean the difference between safety and danger. If certain footprints meant a predator was nearby, recognizing that pattern early increased survival. But pattern recognition sometimes produces false patterns. The mind can connect events that are not actually related. It can see simple cause and effect relationships where the real explanation is far more complicated. A business might attribute its success entirely to a specific strategy, ignoring economic trends that also played a role. A sports team might blame a single mistake for losing a game, even though dozens of small decisions influenced the outcome. The brain compresses the story. This compression makes the world easier to navigate, but it also creates blind spots. When explanations become too simple, important factors disappear from view. And once a simple narrative becomes widely accepted, it can be surprisingly difficult to challenge. Simple ideas spread quickly because they require little effort to understand. Complex explanations require patience. They demand that the listener tolerate uncertainty and hold multiple variables in mind simultaneously. Most people prefer clarity over complexity. but deeper understanding often lives inside complexity. Scientists spend years studying systems precisely because the first explanation that appears obvious is rarely complete. Economists examine multiple variables to understand financial trends. Engineers analyze dozens of factors when diagnosing mechanical failures. True understanding requires expanding the explanation instead of compressing it. The next time you encounter a problem that seems to have a very simple explanation, it may be worth pausing for a moment. Ask yourself what other forces might be involved. What variables might be interacting beneath the surface? What details might have been removed to make the story easier to tell? This kind of thinking does not make life simpler. In fact, it often makes reality appear more complicated than expected. But it also moves you closer to something far more valuable than simplicity. It moves you closer to accuracy.